Giving baths today? Yeah, he's gotta clean me. I get dirty from eating. I get dirty.
I have a large fan base in the UK. So people will be like, I've seen this dog here, I've seen that dog. That's kind of how I know, through the grapevine. I know his descendants are there, and maybe even one or two of his direct kids. But again, not from me. I myself, I've never sent dogs to the UK myself personally, because, obviously they weren't allowed there. And for me, I don't want to put my dogs, it's always this gray areas. Like, are they just yanking dogs out of houses and murdering them and whatever? I don't know. I'm over here, so I don't know what's going on over there in that regard, but I would never put my dogs in that type of a situation. So my dogs aren't allowed to go into countries where they're not allowed. We don't do that. This is not new. This has happened multiple times in history. You look, they did this to German Shepherds, they did this to Rottweilers, they did this to Dobermans, they did this to Pit Bulls if we're separating the breeds. Like, they do this. This is a common occurrence. We don't understand something, we fear it, we blame it. This is just what we do. We've been doing it for generations. So to think that you're just going to create more rules and all of a sudden, everything's going to be perfect is insane. I as I said to you before, what's the one thing that we know about rules? Rules were created to be broken. People break rules all the time. So just because you create these rules doesn't mean that people are going to follow them. So educating people is what needs to happen. That's where you really need to focus, is on education. It's the most popular dog in the world. That's why, everything's a pit mix, this or that, everything. You hear that word everywhere. You throw it around everywhere. It's the most popular breed of dog. So, I think harping on the fact that it's not about a breed is important, but also understanding that different breeds of dogs require different things, and certain dogs aren't for certain people, right? I'd be willing to say probably 40% of people that have these dogs probably shouldn't, but in terms of how they're getting dogs into different countries, it's simple. People have friends that, like I said, it's like, this is just assuming that everybody follows the rules. It's like, all you do is you have a friend that's a vet. They write a different breed on a certificate. They're not going to argue with it at the airport or in different places. To send the dog over there, and that's that. It's a lot easier than you would assume. It's quite simple. The dog just comes with the paperwork that says that it's something else, and that's that. If we want to approach fixing this problem, it's really as simple as you have to educate people. You have to educate people at the base. You have to take away the stigma of this, it's this owner, it's that owner, it's all, right? It's not just the guy that's like the one guy on the Good Morning Britain or whatever, he said the hip hop gangsters. It's not only the hip hop gangsters, that are creating these problems. Something that I think is important, right? It's just a terminology, right? Where we say she's comfortable because of the way the dogs are trained. I just think it's raised. It's training is not what it is.
That's the biggest thing. Is not enough people, I don't think, know about dog behavior. They literally think it's the same thing.
It's not at all.
It's just training.
It's not training. It's how they're raised. It's the structure and with how they are brought up.
Like kids, my kids could be the most intelligent kids in the world and know how to do every math problem in their head, but they could be incredibly disrespectful and be off the walls at home because they don't have structure.
American XL bully is clearly a danger to our communities. It's right that we take urgent action to stop these attacks and protect the public.
A moment of extreme violence has left a family, friends and a community mourning the taking of a young, innocent life.
Look, it's a horrible situation, and I couldn't imagine losing one of my children or anything like that. But the facts remain, the fault lies on the owners of the dogs, and that's it. Not a breed of dog. The facts remain. That's just it. Whether I'm harsh or cruel or whatever. I'm not trying to be. I couldn't imagine losing my children. But if we're going to be real and we're going to actually fix issues, we can't worry about padding people's feelings. We have to tell the truth, right? And I think that's what I mean, where it's like you have to get the right people, the people that are going to tell the truth, that are not going to pad the truth, because padding it will not help. I feel a sense of responsibility in a way to where it's like, look, Hulk's probably is the most famous dog in the world, you know, in this. And, you know, we played a big role in terms of, you know, popularizing these dogs and people seeing us and seeing our lifestyle. And, you know, all of a sudden, you know, everybody wants one of these dogs. So, you know, I feel a certain sense of responsibility to, you know, teach people the right thing, which we always do. But when something like this happens, you know, you just feel more of a responsibility to something, to where it's like, look, like, this is what I do. I can give you the answers.
Your little bell.